All right, welcome back. We start with our Tri-State Office Furniture tweet of the day from our friend Mark Caboli over at The Athletic. He tweeted today, the Steelers will potentially be without this Sunday versus the Chargers Ben Roethlisberger, Chase Claypool, Trey Turner, Kevin Dotson, Joe Hanka, Hayden, Minkah Fitzpatrick, T.J. Watt, not to mention Juju Smith-Schuster, Stephon Tuitt, and Tyson Alualu. A lot of interesting stuff going on there. And, of course, if you just joined us and didn't hear this, Minkah Fitzpatrick also tested positive, so he's now in the protocol. Ben possibly could play if he gets a couple of negative tests throughout the course of the week, but that's something we won't know. And the news is not terribly bad with T.J. Watt, at least what you wouldn't have expected. If you watched it yesterday, you probably would have expected that it would be something serious. It wasn't that. So bottom line is he should be okay. Maybe not this week, but still. Let me ask you this, Chris, because if you look around, I was just watching this other game tonight against San Francisco beating the Rams 7-1, soon to be 7-3. I think the NFL has a bunch of collection of average, mediocre teams, which is Pete Rozelle once had, that was his Rosellian paradise that he liked to call parody. I guess we've reached that point, but is it entertaining to you to watch it?
Yeah, I mean, it's unpredictable. I still think the Buccaneers are really, really good. I still think the Chiefs are sort of rising. I think when you have stories like this, when you have teams that are bunched and clustered closely together, it can actually make for some interesting stories, Bob. Like, look at, and no one wants to admit this here, right? I certainly don't. The New England Patriots suddenly look like there's a storm rising there, does there not?
Yep.
They're following the early Brady blueprint of dominant defense, quarterback who's coming along. He's not great yet by any stretch, but he's making enough throws.
Yeah.
No, I know. I mean, he's in a great situation, I think, but they're following that blueprint. The Chiefs suddenly finally decided, hey, we're not going to go for a 50-yard bomb every play, and they took apart the Raiders. Like, I do think there are some interesting stories. The Titans' resiliency without Henry. I do find it interesting. I think if you're the kind of fan here that still puts a lot of stock in the Steelers winning AFC North titles, personally I'm not, but maybe that's probably the highest thing actually that they could shoot for this year. You have to feel good about the way that the AFC North is shaking out. You think that the Steelers were poorly coached yesterday? You think that the Steelers failed to make obvious adjustments? If you feel like that was the case, the Baltimore Ravens delivered a masterclass on a short week turnaround Thursday night at not making adjustments. All the Dolphins did was blitz them and blitz them and blitz them with cornerbacks, and they couldn't figure out how to stop it and how to counter it. I mean, it was a wretched performance there. So I find it interesting. I know everyone likes sports when there is a dominant powerhouse team, but the NFL basically sells itself, and when it's a kind of muddled mess, all the better in my opinion, because there's interesting stuff that happens as a result.
And it'll go right down to the wire, and you never know what you're going to end up getting. It could be first, it could be last place, any one of those four teams in the AFC North. Let's go out to Lewis in Turtle Creek, joins us tonight on the Borders and Borders hotline. Hey, Lewis.
Hey, depressing about the Steelers and the Penguins. Two thoughts on the Steelers. I think it's time to say goodbye to Tomlin, and also there's no way we can use Rudolph as a starter after Ben's gone. And then the Penguins need to get a goalie. D. Smith, can't trust him. Jari, forget about him.
Well, I mean, Jari's, if you look at his numbers, notwithstanding what happened last night, they had 6 goals against. Washington just manhandled them. But, I mean, prior to that, he had like a .929